In less than 2 years, one man built a 2 million follower Facebook page from zero. And this is with no social media experience, no industry connections, and no prior following. And he did it not once, but twice. So this man is John Hozik. He's a former CPA, a husband, a dad, and a man on a mission. And he built a 2 million follower Facebook page that has nothing to do with taxes or anything to do with money. But what's crazy is that he built this massive following and then he got hacked shortly after his daughter was born. So most people in that situation, they cry, they give up. Not John. He got right back to work and built up his massive following again. So for anybody out there that's struggling to build a Facebook page, or that you think that Facebook is dead and that it is impossible to grow a following, you need to listen to John's story. Because today he's going to share his exact strategies, the painful lessons that he learned, and the mindset that got him back to 2 million followers. You don't want to skip this one, so if you're ready, let's go.
All right, so we got John on the line. He's been gracious with his time to offer his experience growing on social media, specifically Facebook we're talking about here today. Real quick, John, for those that don't know who you are, quick introduction on who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So my name is John Hozik. I'm in my mid 40s and my background was actually in finance and accounting. So I started in public accounting. I was a CPA for many years. Spent most of my time in the US, did spend a couple of years overseas in London, and love that aspect of my life. But, I was always looking for an out. I was looking for something else, especially becoming a father and a husband as well. And I started my social media journey back in the beginning part of 2024 when we launched Disciplined Dads, really as a means, more of a mission for myself personally, just to, find other men that were doing things right in this world as it relates to being active and present father. And it kind of just went from there. And so passion project turned into where we are right now, a global impact with about 2.5 million followers kind of across the globe. And I've been able to go full time now with Disciplined Dads and everything that we're building there back in October. So we're about 6-7 months into it. So it's been an absolute blessing and game changer. And, Jeff, I really appreciate you inviting me on this. Love what you're doing specifically as it relates to financial literacy through a lot of things that you do there. And then also obviously using your knowledge with social media as just another means to make some income and make some impact as well, which I think every man in this world right now needs because of either how expensive things are or needs for our kids. So again, really appreciate you including me in this today.
Yeah, I'm glad we could connect over Facebook and among other things. So just want to make sure that our timeline is correct here, because it's going to be very important to your story. When did you officially launch the Facebook page?
Great point. And it was Instagram first. So just to be clear, it was January of 2024. I was sitting there with my wife and I just, again, from a dad's perspective, so I want to go a little bit around that, is that I just felt like I wasn't really being the present father that I wanted to be. I was working 60 hours a week, trying to figure things out in my day job. I was a partner with a company that I was with, and I just needed an outlet. And I remember a gentleman saying, like, if you're not in a place in life, go find people that are, or help people get to where you want to be, and you can change yourself. And so I knew nothing about social media at that time. I had 100 followers, I think, on a personal Facebook account. And I saw Instagram as kind of the hot ticket. And so I initially started my journey on Instagram. So I created Disciplined Dads. And what I was doing was really looking to celebrate other men and dads that were doing what I thought the right thing. So looking at other reels and helping remix and add commentary, and it really took off. So again, I kicked things off January of 24. And again, at that, I think on Facebook, I had 100 followers at the time, and just personal followers and some videos of my family from many years ago, because I was not the guy who took pictures. That was always my wife. I was not the guy on camera. That was always my wife's kind of role in our relationship. So very novice when it came to social media in 24 when I started.
So when you started, was there a vision of this turning into a business? Was it purely more of a passion project?
Great point. I think it was both. I mean, passion project first, and I think that's probably why this has done so well. But I did understand, just if you ever go on social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you can see that people are definitely taking advantage of social media to give them a separate second income stream. And I knew that was always something that my family wanted. We always had side businesses throughout, my time with my wife. We're coming up on 11 years. And so if that was ultimately the outcome, that was going to be just like a secondary, blessing. But first, it truly was the mission itself. I just wanted to get around a different community and build different relationships. Kind of funny on social media versus in person. But, it started with the mission. And I think because of that, that's ultimately why it grew, so fast in such a short period of time.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You launched the Instagram page January 24 and you had some initial success.
You know,
With
it's funny. I think the best thing that I saw right around that time is that, and I forget who the influencer was, but there was a gentleman that knew how to build Instagram accounts, and he had all the bells and whistles around how to edit videos. And what he always talked about is that you give me 12 months, I can start a new account and get it to 1 million followers. And I remember listening to him over a period of time. And yes, he talked about all those bells and whistles, but the biggest thing he said was keep posting. That's the number one thing. Like that was always what he came back to. It's that hockey stick where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm posting every day. Nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. And then month 3, month 4, whatever that is, it just goes like this. And that is what happened to us. I mean, it wasn't overnight at all, but I do remember it was like about the 4th month on Instagram. And my wife and I actually were out of the US. We were coming back from a trip that I had been awarded as part of my company at the time. And I remember just sitting there saying like, babe, like we just went up 10,000 followers in a day and like we're almost at 100,000 followers. And it was so interesting. The second we touched down in the US, like we're just watching it as we're going through the terminal and it's going click, click, click. And then it hit 100,000 followers. And so that was just, I mean, I got 10 friends. Like, how do I have 100,000 followers? I think we just kept feeding it. Like that gentleman said, when you look at social media, at least on a lot of these, maybe outside of YouTube, they're very transactional. And I remember him saying, you got to feed the baby every day. The baby's hungry. Like you have to feed the baby to keep that algorithm going and keeping your momentum going. And so that's all we did. So we hit about 100,000 in month 4.
Wow.
And then by summer we hit 400,000, maybe 500,000 on Instagram. And then that's when Instagram was really starting to promote cross promotion between Instagram and Facebook. And so we started actually just cross posting between the two, and then really started seeing some success on Facebook as well. So by the end of the first year, we were over 1 million followers between the two platforms.
That's incredible, man.
Especially, I mean, and a lot of it was like, behind the scenes, I did a lot of, faceless, at that time was really just starting to get my face forward, towards the end of that. But I think the biggest thing was just the constant feeding, the engine. And then we talked about this, Jeff, is that we picked a niche that really had a need at the time. It was celebrating, dads and men for doing the right things. And then we just kept it uber positive. I mean, there's so much going on in this world right now. And so we always just wanted to celebrate positivity versus going negative or political or anything else. And I think that's really benefited our channel, and our platform, over the years.
You mentioned feeding the baby because the baby's always hungry. In that first year, how often were you feeding the baby every day?
Great question. No less than about 3 times a day. So, I mean, it was, minimum of 3, started getting up to about 7. But when you think about then cross posting, because, even though there's obviously the connection between, the meta platforms, Instagram and Facebook, if you're posting one and it goes to another, that's 2, right? And so it got very quickly at a period of time where it was somewhere between 5 and 7, on it at a day. And so when you do that over a month, you're talking that we were posting at least 100 posts, monthly. And so it was almost like it was nights and weekends because I had a full-time day job at that time. I mean, I was still doing 60 hours. But I just got excited about it. It was really cool to get the DMs and get the messages and see the impact that this was happening. And so it just kept me fired up while I was doing it as well.
That's awesome. So 3 times a day, and you primarily reels, correct? Like you were
primarily reels. Yep. Yep. I did not get into a lot of the posting in text. It was really reels. And that was one because of Instagram was really promoting heavy on the reel side. And they also were promoting cross posting and then remixes as well. It's just kind of what the platform, and I saw it as, shorts were becoming really popular at that time. YouTube was getting into it as well. And people just love to binge shorts, right? Rather than watch a half hour, entire YouTube clip or even a TV series, somebody could watch 50, shorts in that same period of time as well. And so I think that really benefited us. And it also had that impact, the real, we were finding had more impact, more emotion than just at the time, just a question or a text post.
So things are booming, man. You get to 0 to 1 million in a year and things like on top of the world, like it's going to end, but then something happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I mean, we won't dive into the faith side of things, but I do think that there was a reason for all this happening, and we had such raging fans. But my daughter was born in March of 25, and at that time, it was actually a couple of days later. I remember sitting there holding her, and I actually started seeing my accounts get hacked. And I think a lot of us have been through it, and it's just unfortunate. It was something where you get some of those teleprompters, or you get some of those emails, and they seem exciting. And ultimately, somehow somebody got to my account and ultimately took down, or at that point, we were probably about 1.5 million across both. And so we literally, within a matter of weeks in March of 25, both of them went down. So I had the highs of being a father for the second time with my little girl. I have a little boy as well. But then to see all that hard work and just the mission itself and everybody that was so excited about this, from the person next door and the neighbor to even some celebrities as well, to see how that was very surreal and very humbling. We really had a choice at that time. What did we do? What did we create here? It came relatively fast, and I don't think we really had time to digest, like, what is this? Is this more than just that passion project? And so what's interesting is that I think that pause for us really was probably the most beneficial to us, being my wife and I, as it relates to, like, what do we actually want to do with this? Could we do this again, for example? So yeah, Jeff, it came all crashing down. And I literally remember holding my little girl and seeing it happen. Like, my analytics went all over the place, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And the one thing that I'll say, and we can maybe bring this up later, is that get meta verified. That's my best advice that I can give to anybody outside of feeding the baby, is get meta verified. I know it's a cost, and especially people starting out, they're like, oh, why would I? But you've had that experience as well. I mean, I can get on Meta almost every day. They're actually working on a technical issue for me right now. No big deal. It's something that's impacting a lot of creators. But my ability to actually physically talk to somebody, to have them action things, and that was such a blessing to have that already, established. So that when I was going through this issue, which was, again, kind of devastating for us, is that I had somebody in our corner to be able to say, okay, I got you. We still had one of our accounts, our personal page, and that was verified also. And so then it went after every page that was associated with it. So, but yeah, that was a fun, very, very memorable march between the baby and losing the business at the same time.
At that point in time, obviously you lost the followers. Was there a business at that point?
You know what? We had just started our LLC. So again, we saw this kind of going where it was, but in terms of revenue, no, it was more of an expense than anything else. And I think it was just, again, how we were creating the business as it relates to, repurposing, some of the reels and so forth. But we really, again, because I had my day job, this was still in that passion project type of thought process. And it just grew so quickly that right around the time that we got hacked is when I started to talk to other influencers and others in the space to say, okay, well, we have this raging fan and this movement. What can we do with this to actually create a business? And the number one was we started with an LLC, but to answer your question specifically, Jeff, like, we weren't monetized yet. We weren't selling anything. We were just thinking about that next phase in the business itself.
I didn't share this with you, but with my website back in the day, I got hit with a Google algorithm update, and I went from getting like 100,000 visitors a month, which back then was big for me, to getting like maybe 10,000, like 90% drop, which also meant my income dropped.
Sure.
And I remember that. And for me, I remember it was like a 2-week period where I won't say I was depressed, but it was like, I've spent all this time growing this thing, and now it just got taken out beyond nothing I could control.
Yeah.
So I took like a pause, and then I think kind of what you're alluding to is just reminding myself, why am I doing this? This is not about me. This is about wanting to educate others about finance and what I know, my experiences like financial planning. So after taking that break, I was like, I started back up. It's actually when I started YouTube, started a podcast eventually, and just like started expanding, that kind of cool, share a similar experience in that.
And I think we all need that. And I think that's, I mean, you're having a lot of success, and I don't even know if this group knows about your wife and her success on Instagram too. But, I think it's those trials and tribulations that separates us. Right. And I think that learning experience, you're absolutely right. We were able to pause. We were able to understand, what do we actually have our hands on, And if we're going to do this, the best thing we can do is leverage all the platforms, really look at this as truly a business, one, to protect ourselves, but also to really grow this going forward. But the impact was probably it was really the number one thing. I remember kind of in the first couple months when I got my first DM, and I won't go into the specifics, but it was from a man that said, today your post, kind of saved me. It kept me going, right? And when that happened, and I've had, hundreds and thousands of those since, and I absolutely love our fan base. Our fan base is just so incredible. I mean, they are so incredible. But when I had that first one, I realized like, this is much bigger than me. And then when it started going international, and then we started seeing the female population showing up in this as well, that's really what drove us. I mean, we did a lot of thought, a lot of prayers, a lot of like, okay, can we actually really do this again? But it really went back to that mission. And I think that anybody who's looking at doing anything on top of their day jobs, right? We're all working, we're all have children. And when you're looking at building something, you got to have a passion behind it, because it's nights, it's weekends, it's failures. You can call this a failure, a bump in the road, whatever it is. And you've got to have that passion, that mission to be able to get through this.
So March 25, welcome your daughter. Just get hacked. You lose everything. You're reminded of the mission. So you get back on it. How long did it take before you started getting some traction back?
Great question. And I'll go back to Meta Verify, because I think that's huge, is that I was able to finally get Meta to really understand what happened, and they put their engineers out there. And I remember it was right before May 1st. So we're coming up on our year anniversary in 2 days. So this is such a great time frame for us to actually even have this conversation with you. But it took us all the way till May 1st. And I remember I'm on the phone and on emails with Meta back and forth, and they're finally like, we got it back. We can link it back to your account. It's like, so we can link it all back together. Unfortunately, we can't give you your followers back. And I'm like, guys, like, come on, like you're literally asking me to start over. And they said, what was great? And I kept the screenshot. There's a representative from Meta, and he literally said, like, I think you have something special here. Do it again, and it will happen again. And I just remember that. And I'm sitting at the kitchen table with my wife. It's almost like this guy speaking into us, like, again, looking at the mission. They can see your pages. They know what you're doing. And so we got it back essentially May 1st. It did have our old videos, some of our videos. And this was just Facebook. They weren't able to get Instagram back. So this was just Facebook. So we start literally from zero, had videos, and those started cranking again. But it was tough to think about starting over again and doing content. But at that point, we also made the decision that we were going to go much more, not just Disciplined Dads, but also, John Hozik and his family as well. So we made the decision to go much more face forward and really put our family into the Disciplined Dad community, as, this was started by me because I wanted to be a disciplined dad. And so I think, again, we're so blessed that this all happened, and would I do it again? Yes, it was painful, but if I knew where we are today based on that what happened is that absolutely it needed to happen. So got it back May 1st. So we're literally coming up on 12 months and 2 days.
May 1st. And here it is, like you said, almost just a few days away from May 1st. Currently on Facebook, you're at just under 2 million.
Just under 2 million. Guys, by the time this goes out, we will hit over 2 million. I think we're projected to hit that 2 million mark in maybe a day and maybe 2 days, right?
Incredible.
So, which is insane to me. I'm an old CPA that had no Facebook following.
And somewhere you getting the account back, like Disciplined Dads became the business, correct?
Correct. So get it back May 1st. And that's when we really went after this as a business. I still had my day job, but at that point we made the decision that we can do both. I was actually pretty transparent with even my company at the time as well. And because it was, it's positive. It was very much a coming together, a community type of platform in business, had a lot of support from family and friends around us and even my, coworkers and so forth. And so we just doubled down. And so we got Facebook back, and that grew quick. By July, we were at about 400,000 followers. By October of 25, we hit 1 million followers. And then it just continued to snowball. And again, I always say, like, I'm just a conduit to this. I mean, it is so much our fans. Like, we have some of the best fans. I mean, the amount of comments, the amount of dialogue, the amount of DMs, and it's gone international. We're 40% outside of the US. the female population, those that are impacted by absentee fathers and, fatherless household. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. And so it just grew. And then we decided like, we need to make sure we diversify because things happen. Right. And so we started on TikTok, and then we restarted Instagram as well. We're now onto YouTube also. And it's been a heck of a journey.
Somebody's listening to this right now, and they're going to hear the fact that you went to 0 to a million, not once, but twice. And this person they're a skeptic. They're going to think like, he has some cheat code.
I wish.
He's got a first cousin that works at Meta.
Please somebody email me if they have a first cousin or
Me too.
message me if they have a first cousin at Meta.
What would you say to that person that just is still struggling to believe that you did it not once, but
twice? It's not just my example. I mean, there are so many other examples out there, and I'll maybe give you one. Is that when I really saw this as a potential business opportunity, I remember watching a YouTube, Jeff, and I think we talked about this a little bit, and it was a guy that cuts grass. And so he has this traditional day job business of going around and cutting grass around people's houses and other odd jobs. And he decided to start cutting grass of the worst house in the community, right? Maybe somebody's disabled, or maybe they just don't have the means. And he started posting that on YouTube as a goodwill, saying, hey, I'll do it for free. I'm just going to post it. And I remember seeing the amount of volume of views and just the goodwill and so I'm thinking about this man that might have a good, solid, maybe good 6-figure daytime business. Then he's doing things on YouTube that might even double, quadruple that as well. And he's doing good for the world too. And I can't stop watching the daggone things because you're like taking the worst yard and turning them into these great yards. But what is he doing? He's got a mission. He's got a passion. He's helping out other people, staying super positive. And he's just doubling down on something that he was already doing, right? And so when I think about that, what discipline, why it seemed to work, at least, for me, is that I picked a niche there was a need, and there's still there's so many accounts right now that celebrate women, and thank God they do. My wife loves, a lot of influencers that are out there, but there wasn't a lot that were dads that were celebrating each other and being there and talking about support and community. And so when I just continue to focus on that mission side of things, it's like the mission took care of then the impact, which then took care of the volume. And then it just went from there. And again, if you go back to that first thing I said, I kept feeding the baby, and sometimes just doing it unconsciously, just knowing that got to keep feeding this, because then it continues with the reach and the impact. That's the key. And again, when you do it with heart, do it with passion. And if you can really truly lead with, I'm trying to make an impact, I'm trying to impact other people, I'm trying to put positivity out there, the algorithm and maybe just life in general will reward you. That's it. Hopefully that was a good answer.
Oh, it's a great answer. Obviously on the channel, I talk a lot about Facebook monetization. I've shared with you about how it's just been, life-changing in a way, where like that this even exists right now. Talk a little bit about your experience with Facebook monetization and when it became clear that there's some real potential here.
And I think that maybe this is a good story, because I think you got to go back to that. Why are you doing this? Because it's not overnight. Think about my journey, that we didn't actually start monetizing on any platform until around the August timeframe of 2025. So if you start this in 2024, we had all that success in terms of growth and volume, and really we're not monetized across any platform. Then we went through the hack, issue, and then ultimately we did get monetized in August. That's about 18 months that we had to go through, and some of that was grueling when we lost the platforms. But it kept going back to, what are we actually trying to accomplish long term, and what is the actual impact that we're trying to leave, I guess, on this world a little bit, or at least helping men and dads. And so that has to be big enough to carry you through what we've gone through. And Jeff, I know you've had some ups and downs yourself too. Like, you have to have something that's going to carry through those tough times. But when it monetized, and if you do things right and you have the right volume and the right structure and system in place, it's a game changer. And, for us being in the finance background, I knew what my numbers were. I was like, okay, well, $100 a day is $3,000 a month. And I will take that all day long. I think anybody who's listening to this right now, you think, well, it's just $100. Yeah, well, multiply by 30 days and you got $3,000. That's all of your groceries. That's your vacations. And we just started seeing this as a supplemental to give us some more freedom, take some pressure off of things. I don't know about you, but blueberries and things like that for kids are expensive right now. I mean, nothing is keeping up with the cost of things around us. And so when we started seeing the ability to monetize, while I was still on my day job, it just was a game changer. I mean, it took the pressure off of everything. And we were fortunate enough when we had some decisions to make around the October timeframe with my company at the time, whether to continue long term or not. We were in a position to be able to go full time with Disciplined Dads, and now we're monetized across a couple of platforms. We're about to launch our apparel brand and some coaching and mentorship as well. But just having that option, you have to have something that's going to get you through those dry seasons, and when you have those hurdles and failures, and just remember why you're doing it, because it's not the easiest thing.
For somebody that's brand new to Facebook, what's a strategy that you would tell them to test out?
Yeah, I mean, so somebody who's sitting brand new, number one, I mean, and you're going to hear this from almost everybody, is your niche, right? Have it specific enough, but broad enough that you can touch a lot of things. So with Disciplined Dads, we have 4 pillars, which is faith, financial, family, and fitness. And so I probably spend more time on the family and fitness side. And Jeff, that's what drew me to you, is obviously the financial. And I've got a couple other guys that I'm linked up that are helping me with more of the faith side. But because we had something that, again, we saw a gap with dads and men, but then it was broad enough that I could touch on a little bit of things. I mean, some of our content is just being a good person. It's just being positive. That helped, push our volume, our reach, our impact quicker and faster than I think some. I think sometimes people get so, oh, well, I'm good at X, then they don't allow themselves to branch out into Y and Z, and it can be a little detrimental. Second is, again, you just got to post. And I mean, you hear it all the time. If you really want to look at the biggest influencers out there, they post all the time. They don't care about what things look like. They post like they are sitting in their PJs 1 minute and then they're going to the Golden Globes the next minute, right? They just don't care because they've made a conscious decision that I'm my own brand. And if I'm comfortable with my life and I feel like I have the ability to provide an impact, I'm going to show I'm going to celebrate my life or show my life out there as well. And I think that's the other thing. I mean, if you think you're posting enough, you're not, right? Everybody I talk to is like, if you think that, like, yeah, I post every other, day or once a week, I'm like, you're not. I mean, most people are posting 3, 4, 5, 10 times. I mean, I was in front of an influencer a couple months back and they post 700 times a month. I mean, it's insane to me, right? But then I started looking at our numbers and now we're starting to get up into that as well. So post and don't worry about the outcome. Post almost like you've got blinders on that first, 2 to 3 months, and just post, especially if it relates to just positive, impactful. It will happen over time. And then third, again, you're going to need a mission behind you to get you through that first 3 or 4 months, because there is no rhyme to reason sometimes why you monetize and why you don't. Now, I think there are ways to accelerate that. One, I think it's volume. It's obviously impact. Meta is doing some unique things right now where if you're on Instagram, it actually can speed up your process. If you start a similar page on Facebook, that it will actually help you monetize Facebook quicker and faster. But again, there's no, like, YouTube's pretty simple, right? Like, you go in and you get this amount of views, like, you're going to qualify, right? Or you get this amount of X. TikTok's usually the same way as well. But, some people say it's 10,000 followers on Meta and some certain amount of volume. But I think having all those 3 moving and really give yourself that 3-month, maybe even 6-month time frame where you're not going to maybe see the results of your labor is really my suggestion.
Great, man. It's good advice. Love it. I love also too, you shared, just kind of wrap this up. Disciplined Dad started on well, I guess technically Instagram, then Facebook, but now you're branching out. Talk a little bit about how the movement and how it's growing, what it's expanding into.
Yeah. The what's interesting is once you start understanding it, and guys, there are so many tools out there nowadays. I mean, everything has an AI element to it, whether it's Google or you can go to Claude, which is an AI tool, obviously ChatGPT as well. They'll tell you when you start doing some research that every platform's different, right? Facebook is kind of the older generation, right? It's the baby boomers. It's, 30s, 40s and plus. Instagram's more of a business platform. You have YouTube that's long form, that is more educational. You have TikTok that's a little bit of everything, right? And so what's cool about that is you're going to get a different audience and a different response from each one of them. But if you're doing things right and you're putting out good quality content and you're doing it consistently to a point where people are raging fans and they're waiting for you to post something, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon, you can start having success really across all platforms. So in the later part of 25, we started, our Instagram page back up. We started TikTok, and then more recently we're hitting YouTube right now and trying to switch things up. So Instagram got to a couple 100,000, over a 6-month period of time. Same thing with TikTok as well. And that's really helped us, again, diversify. That helps us hit a different target audience. But what's really cool, Jeff, is we're getting the same types of responses. I mean, when I got my first response on TikTok, which is, again, a very different animal than the rest, and it was very similar. Thank you for sending this. Thank you for, giving me some examples of how to be a better father. And then you kind of realize you've got something, right? And that message, that mission really resonates regardless of the demographic, regardless of the type of platform, regardless of that. And then you have that ability to really leverage what you're doing across all of them. And I do suggest that it's you have to tweak things a little bit, and there's nuances to each one, but when you actually have what you believe is a true impact, it should be able to impact all platforms, and then you can really get that benefit from each one.
So good, man. So good. All right. I'm going to let you close it out. Any last bit of information you want to share or words of advice?
There's two things, Jeff. Again, I will say this on the front end. I mean, we've talked now a handful of times. I absolutely love what you're doing, not just in this. And guys, like if you don't know what Jeff's doing around the financial literacy side, his daily posts, especially on Facebook and Instagram, there's so much wealth of information. And a lot of times it's just challenging, text post and picture post. But you'll find that when you go through school, there's just not a lot of financial literacy that we're taught, which is kind of sad. And you need to go figure it out yourself. And when you have people like Jeff that are putting out just great content, like listen to what he's saying. Like there's some really cool things out there. I've commented Jeff on a couple posts recently that I'm like, I mean, you nailed this, but it's critical thinking, and we need to do more of that. Because one of the things, again, with Disciplined Dads, like if you're not understanding your own finances, like you're going to have some problems. And I encourage all men and women to get onto the same page as it relates to finances. And Jeff, I really appreciate, obviously you including me in today, but everything that you're doing on one of our very important pillars within Disciplined Dads. But then, to my fans that are going to, plug into this, like this has been such a surreal, and Jeff, yours as well. I mean, this has been such a surreal experience. I mean, again, I had no followers. I was actually, when it came to finance and accounting, sometimes that sounds sexy. I was an auditor. Like I audited other companies. I mean, that is the people, when I say I'm an auditor, they scrounge their face. They're like, oh my gosh, you audit people's financials, like you're the problem and so forth. And, my later years were a little more fun, but yeah, that's what I did. And, to be able to take just, again, a gap in my own life and to pour that into social media and to get the response that we've gotten, our fans are just so awesome. And guys, when you finally experience that, when you, again, like passionate in this and you get it out in the world and you start seeing people really latch themselves to it and building that community, there is no better feeling. I mean, I love being a father and having kids like that, obviously up here, but man, I mean, this community that I've been blessed to be able to build and what you all can do in such a short period of time. 2 years sounds like but man, it's like that. And my daughter's now 1 year old. It's just crazy. And it can literally change your life. I mean, Disciplined Dads now, I mean, we are full-time in this. I don't ever believe I'm going back to being a CPA or going back that route. I mean, we are all in on this, and the impact that we're going to be able to have is just, man, it's humbling. It gets me really emotional, but guys, just, if you want to do this, go all in. I just go on, figure it out. You have more time than you think you do. You can do this around kids, day jobs, everything else, but just go after it, because you never know where you're going to be 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road.
I just think it's so cool that you have a CPA and a certified financial planner that both gave up their day jobs or businesses to focus on their online business.
And I would do this 10 times over. I wish I did this, sooner, Jeff, but obviously everyone has their story, and, it's probably why, we're having, some of the success we are now. But just like you, man, I mean, you've been in the game for a bit too. I mean, you got to take it seriously. And when you do, and you really put your heart into it, it is just amazing what can happen. I mean, you get your first message from somebody who's literally around the world in India, for example, or Africa or so forth. You're like, this is crazy. And like a thoughtful message. You want to have dialogue. It's the coolest thing. It's so cool.
Oh, good, man. Well, John, your time, share your story, your journey, your experience. It's been a pleasure.
Jeff, really appreciate it. Love to do this again. So thank you all.